On what biblical basis is authority in the Iglesia Ni Cristo passed along? On no biblical basis. Why did Eranio Manalo become the successor to Felix Manalo? Because he was his son, that's why. Not because he has any authority. Was there an election of some sort? No. It's a family concern. That's all. Eranio is no more a prophet or messenger of God than Felix was. His father was a fraud, and if he continues to preach his father's doctrines, he's a fraud. As a matter of fact, the whole Iglesia argument against the Catholic Church is a big fraud, and let me prove it to you from Pasugo. I mentioned in my opening remarks, Iglesia is so fond of claiming that the Pope is the beast of Revelation. We know that the beast of Revelation has the number 666, right? Now, here's the argument. Follow this carefully. The popes have what is known as a tiara. That means a triple crown, a triply high crown, 3 levels. The beast can be identified. You find a man whose name, when added up, adds up to 666. Or a man whose title adds up to 666. Now, Iglesia Ni Cristo says 2 things. One, that the title of the Pope in Latin is Vicarius Filii Dei. And second, that title appears on the 3 bands of the tiara. I have in front of me a photocopy of the September 1976 issue of Pasugo. Here is a drawing made by the staff showing the tiara with those words on it. This is just a pen drawing. 2 things to say. Does the title Vicarius Filii Dei add up to 666? Yes, it does. But is that a title of the popes? Have they ever used it? No. Do you know what Vicarius Filii Dei means? It means vicar, or representative, or agent, vicar of the Son of God. The Pope has never used that title. No Pope ever. The official title of the Pope, one of several, is Vicar of Christ, not Vicar of the Son of God. We Catholics claim he is the representative on earth of the God-man, the Messiah, not of the second person of the Trinity as such. But you see, the Vicar of Christ in Latin is Vicarius Christi. And when you add up the letters, they don't add up to 666. So the first thing that the Iglesia Ni Cristo has done, and as I say, it repeats this story every 4 issues or so in its magazine. The first thing is to claim that the title of the Pope is Vicarius Filii Dei. That's a lie. It's not at all. Why does it claim that? Because it wants to find a title that adds up to 666. It doesn't care about the truth. A second point. I showed you the picture where someone penciled in the words Vicarius Filii Dei on the tiara. Have you ever seen a good photograph of the tiara? Well, the Iglesia Ni Cristo says these words are written in jewels, and that the bottom word Dei, of God, is written in 100 diamonds. Is that the case? All we have to do, I suppose if we had a lot of money, we could fly to Rome and look at the tiara, but we don't need to do that. We just turn to the cover of that same September 1976 issue of Pasugo, I should say rather the beginning of that article, where there is a picture of Pope Paul VI, who is the last pope to wear the tiara, and the picture shows that there are no words at all on the tiara. So 2 things. First, the Iglesia people, the writers in Pasugo, have lied again to you. And second, they are insulting you because on one page they show you that there are no words, and on the second they make a drawing and add in the words, and they think you're too stupid to see it. I was warned by some well-intentioned people that I shouldn't come here tonight and talk tough about the fraudulence of the Iglesia Ni Cristo. They said, the Iglesia people will shout you down, and you haven't shouted me down. They will interrupt, and you interrupt, but that's all right. They said that they're closed-minded, and maybe some of you are. Of course, you find closed-minded people in every church, don't you? But you also find open-minded people. Many of you who are members of Iglesia Ni Cristo were brought up as Catholics. You probably learned next to nothing about the Catholic faith. I must conclude that because you're swallowing this nonsense that Iglesia puts out about the Catholic Church. Forget for the moment Iglesia's own credibility. Look at what it says against the competition. Why does it feel it must lie regularly about the Catholic Church? Like this thing with the Pope's tiara in 666. By the way, I will tell you who 666 represents. Every reputable biblical scholar of any church knows this. It was the Emperor Nero. And you know how we know? Even though the proper name of the person isn't given in Revelation? Because in the earliest manuscripts of the New Testament, we have this one line giving two different numbers. 666 and 616. Why is that? It's because a copyist early on changed 616 to 616 because he thought there was a mistake in 666. Why did he think there was a mistake? Because if he was a Greek copying, he looked at Nero's name in Greek, it added up to 616. He knew it was that reference in the Bible was referring to Nero, so he thought somebody else had made a previous mistake. But in Hebrew, it comes out to 666. So if you're a Hebrew copyist, you want it to read 666 because you know it's Nero. If you're a Greek copyist, you want it to read 616 because you know it's Nero. Iglesia doesn't bring this up because it doesn't want you to know. It doesn't want you to know the truth about the Catholic faith, about the Bible, or about your own religion. And you've got to ask yourself, if that's the case, how can this possibly be of God? How can a church which has borrowed its principles from 19th century Protestants possibly be God's real church? Thank you.